Last week we told you about many accidents that happened in the Chernobyl nuclear power plant before the catastrophic disaster in 1986. But let's get back to the really important part of Chernobyl's story that we have left behind for some time. It was just recently that I realized we didn't speak about Chernobyl nuclear power plant basic history. I mean, everybody knows that there was a disaster, everybody knows what year this happened, and everybody knows that it was the worst nuclear disaster in human history. But honestly, how much do you know about the power plant's history? And I have to be honest too, I didn't know a lot about it until some time ago. And that said, I didn't know it even the whole Chernobyl story was always an important part of my interests. So, today, I will cover the subject properly, or at least a part of it. I will tell you basic information about the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Maybe for some of you it will sound too simple, but I think the perspective will be very important. Especially these last 15 videos from Chornobyl Stories project were often dedicated to some detailed subjects like the RBMK reactor construction, Legasev's story or Chernobyl wildlife. So I think this is a good moment to speak about it, because it will prepare a good ground before we will enter or cover more intense, deeper stories. So, let's start. First of all, why was it built in that particular place? However, the exact reasons are unknown. We can speculate a bit. If you heard about Chernobyl, you probably also heard about Pripyat. And however Pripyat was built specifically for power plant workers, Chernobyl itself has a long story. It was first mentioned in written sources in 12th century. The city has experienced many things, from belonging to Kievan Rus, then to Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, then to USSR, changing hands often across multiple centuries and both world wars. But officially it was given a status of city in 1941, so over 30 years before the power plant construction started. So, as you see, it's not like Chernobyl was founded, similarly to Pripyat, exactly for the power plant. It has a long, an interesting and complex history. But if I was to guess why the power plant was built there, I would say it was just a geographical decision. Chernobyl was Ukraine's first nuclear power plant, and at first it was supposed to be built very close to Kiev, then the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic capital. But someone decided that maybe that proximity to the major city is not a great idea. So they chose Chernobyl, probably because it wasn't that far away from Kiev, but again it was far enough to feel safer in the capital, and as a woodland type, the area around Chernobyl had a low population density. So in other words, a lot of space to build, steady water flow because of the river, and a safe distance. I don't know who decided this exactly, but it seems like he had some hunch about what could happen. Also, Chernobyl lies near Pripyat River, which I just mentioned, and yes, that's where they got the name for the new city, or in other words, for an atomgrad. So the much needed water source for the power plant's reactor and other uses was just lying behind the power plant. Do you know where the Chernobyl name comes from? I bet that would be an interesting linguistic journey for you, but I will leave the longer one for another episode, and I will give you the short one now. Basically, the easiest and most universal Chernobyl translation is black grass. But there is also a plant that has the same name in the Ukrainian language. And that's it. But there is a longer explanation too. Chernobyl probably comes from Proto-Slavic, especially since the current Slavic languages still have similar names for Chernobyl, even decomposing it into two parts. Chorny, which means black, and Bylu, which means stalk, can still hold some meaning, and that was me trying to speak Proto-Slavic. I know I suck at this. In Polish, for example, the exact name is Chernobyl, so the composition of two compounds. Czarny, originally Chorny, which means black, and Byl, and originally Bylu, which means stalk. However, the word black is almost the same. The second compound, Byl, is more scientific now, as byliny in Polish means exactly perennial plants. And yes, as you can see, the names and words in Slavic languages are changing their specific meanings, but they are still drifting somewhere close to each other. But if you caught that part of the word Chernobyl in its origins means stalk, let me hold you here. I know exactly how this sounds. But we will prepare a whole episode exactly on this matter, because what I have found really got me thinking about coincidences. And nonetheless, let's get around history again. When did the power plant construction start? It began on August 15th, 1972, and the particular units were constructed one after another, and you may learn more about this from the previous video. In 1977, when the power plant started functioning officially, construction didn't finish though. In 1978, reactor number 2 started running. In 1981, same happened to reactor number 3, and in 1983 to reactor number 4. The first reactor was connected to the electrical grid in 1977, and the official shutdown of the last reactor, number 3, was in the year 2000. So only 23 years have passed from the official start until the last unit was closed. But let's get back to the location. I wasn't completely honest with you. We may have more hints about why the power plant was located there, but we have to get a better perspective. Do you remember the overall situation around the world in the second half of the 20th century? Yeah, commies and capitalists didn't get along. So when they realized that humanity has reached the possibility of MAD, so MAD, mutually assured destruction, they all realized that they need better warning systems too. And that's how Duga happened. Duga, which can be found near Chernobyl, is also often called the Eye of Moscow. And however, paradoxically, the street name is very accurate. Many of the urban legends are just that. Legends. But there is more to Duga's story than you may know. Soviets were behind Americans when we speak about technology, but they were working hard not to fall too far behind. When they invented the needed technology, they created testing sites first. We may call them samples. When those samples proved to work, and we will speak about it in another episode, Soviet scientists analyzed them, checked the data, proofreaded the construction plans, and started creating another, newer system. And basically that's how Chernobyl's Duga appeared. It was finished in 1972. So remember, 5 years before the first reactor started working, and the location was strategically important on many levels. First, the location itself, just on the verge of Belarusian and Ukrainian SSRs, and close enough to Moscow to control it fully, but far enough from Moscow not to be a direct target if the worst happens. Second of all, it was very close to an important power supply station, the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, and remember, that kind of raiders needed a lot of power. Also, built at similar time, probably to minimize the risk of discovering by Americans too soon. Especially the last thing could be very important to USSR leaders, or at least I find it convincing. During the Cold War, superpowers tried to do everything to hide their moves from their opponents. You know, just Cold War basics. But let me give you an example from Poland. Even here, there was a program called 1000 Schools for the 1000 Years of Poland. Long story short, communists built a lot of schools in about 15 years, and it was officially announced and everybody was happy that the education system will be better. And that was true to some point, but then again, the schools were often built at locations that gave good access to them, not only for the people that were living there, but also, for example, like the streets were wider, the construction of the particular elements of the schools were different, and then it showed up, years later of course, that a lot of those schools had bunkers below, smaller or bigger, and if the Third World War would arise, they were supposed to be used as hospitals and probably also as warehouses. Maybe I drifted a bit from the subject, but I wanted to show you how the communist leaders in the Warsaw Pact and USSR alone were thinking. I know, but as funny as it may sound, they often copied schemes that worked before. Well, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But nonetheless, let's sum up today's episode. We have 3 more subjects emerging to be developed in the future videos. Number 1, the linguistics of Chernobyl. I honestly can't wait until I could share my findings with you. They almost blew my mind. Number 2, Chernobyl history, the location, not only the power plant. And number 3, Eye of Moscow, so Duga history. And really, I can totally use your help because I get so many different subjects for Chornobyl Stories project on my mind that sometimes I don't know which to choose. Yeah, I think that's enough for this episode. So stay safe and see you next week, guys.